Hi there, everybody. Meteorologist Greg D. Quick weather update on what is now Tropical Storm Idalia as it develops down there into the Gulf of Mexico, Northwest Caribbean. There it is, the center of the storm. You can actually make it out. It's really interesting. The center right now is exposed. It's right there. Can you see that swirl? It's making a little loop. Where it finishes that loop, how far east or west, will really determine the track. It's going to stay in this area for the next 24 hours. We don't expect solid motion to begin to the north until the day on Monday, and that's when we're really going to get to know how close to Florida it's going to track. The track has been shifting all over the place. I know you guys know this, and I know that's maybe a little concerning, but we're still at the point where there's enough variability in the track that I cannot say that our side of the state is going to be completely spared from this. The latest update kind of shifted it a little closer to us before it shifted a little farther away. And these shifts are going to happen. You guys know how this works. This happened with Ian too, until we get a more solid motion. But you see the spacing here between the points on this map. These are 12-hour spacings between Tuesday 8 p.m. and Wednesday 8 p.m. It's really going to pick up speed Tuesday into Wednesday. So once it gets moving 10, 15, 18, 20 miles per hour, you're going to start to see fewer shifts in the track. It's just going to lock into a track and stay with it. And that acceleration will really happen during the day on Monday. So I think Monday into Tuesday, we'll really get to know where this thing is going. Notice the intensity. The hurricane center is on the high end of the intensity at about 90 miles an hour when it makes landfall. There is still the possibility when you look at the cone that it does turn into portions of west central Florida. And if it does, then of course we would be experiencing stronger conditions from the storm if it does make that turn towards us. But if it does make that turn, if the storm does make a turn farther toward the east, if it goes like this, let's say right into Tampa Bay, that's certainly possible. It would probably not be as strong because it would spend less time over water. Even still, that kind of track would definitely increase the chances for flooding. And that's really the biggest concern is flooding along the coast. If you're a Zone A resident, I would definitely start paying attention to this. I think we're getting to the point where we're going to have to talk about Zone A, thinking about maybe getting out of the way of this one. There could be as much as 6 to 9 feet above ground level of flooding if the worst case scenario here materializes. And I think the worst case scenario for our area, the Bay Area, would be if the storm goes farther east and ends up going somewhere into Citrus or Hernando County or Levy County just to our north. That would push a lot more water into our area, and then flooding would be bigger concern and much more widespread. Now, the cone here, remember, is just where the center may go. The storm extends well beyond the center. And when you look at where will the tropical storm force winds actually be, that's the blue. So the tropical storm force winds may extend up to 250 miles away from where the center goes. So we are going to be in sustained tropical storm force winds. Even if it goes up towards Perry, we're going to see tropical storm force winds in places like Winter Haven, the Villages, Spring Hill, Brooksville, Crystal River, Tampa, Lakeland, Sarasota, Bradenton, Northport. You pick your town here. All of Pinellas, all of Hillsborough County, all of Polk County, or most of it, all of Pasco, Hernando, Citrus, Manatee, and Sarasota counties are going to see tropical storm force winds. Between the blue and the yellow, I'm going to take this cone off so it is a little easier to see. Between the blue and the yellow, this area here, you're going to see winds of 40 to 58 miles per hour. Most likely in gusts. If the storm shifts closer to us, then we would get stronger tropical storm force winds. On the current track, there would be no hurricane force winds in our area. When does this all arrive? Good question. You've got a map for that too. The most likely arrival time for tropical storm force conditions is Tuesday evening. So everyone along this line, you would see the tropical storm force winds entering at 9 o'clock on Tuesday. It's over Sarasota. So we would start with southern Sarasota County, maybe 8 p.m. Tuesday. And then by 11 p.m. or midnight, most of our area should be in tropical storm force conditions. So the worst weather is going to be after sunset on Tuesday through midday on Wednesday. on the current track, which is subject to change, we would see tropical storm force conditions Tuesday night into Wednesday, the first half of Wednesday. For most of us, it's going to be a windy day. East of 75, there may be a mix of clouds and sun with periods of showers or thunderstorms moving through. Closer to the coast, you may get into a period of rain. And it's in the heaviest rain that you'll find the strongest winds. The winds are not going to be consistently blowing at 40 to 50 miles an hour. They will come in gusts. And it's in those rain bands that you'll see some of the strongest gusts. That's when I expect some of the strongest weather to be as the storm moves through. The models are still all over the place with this. There still may be some shifts in the track. The reason the cone extends to Tampa Bay, there are still some models that think this thing could turn east earlier, like Ian did. And remember, on this track, and I think this is very important, let me go back to that map. We're going to talk about this very, very carefully. And I need you to explain this to all your friends. If you know anyone that's watching and they're looking at this and they're saying, well, I'm not in the cone, so I'm going to be okay. Remember, tropical storm force winds extend 250 miles from the center. So the tropical storm force winds will go all the way down into southwest Florida. And it is very likely that even places on the east coast of Florida, up to southern South Carolina and South Georgia, will see tropical storm force winds. Fort Myers, Naples, Port Charlotte, likely going to see some tropical storm force winds or wind gusts. Even South Florida could get some scattered thunderstorms, maybe even an isolated tornado waterspout with this. So the cone is just for the track of the center. The storm is bigger than its center, and there will be impacts farther away. When watches and warnings are issued, the Hurricane Center will start to run some computer models for surge flooding, so we'll get a better idea of what that flooding could look like. But definitely, if you're a Zone A resident, I would definitely start paying attention to this one. So that's the midday update. There'll be another one before I go to bed later on this evening. And of course, starting tomorrow morning, going early, probably going to have updates for you starting at 4:30 in the morning regarding Tropical Storm Idalia. Take care, everybody. Have a great Sunday.